Hey everybody, welcome back. Recently we conducted a poll on what your favorite pasta dishes are, and the one that garnered the most votes was the spaghetti and meatballs. So that's what we're gonna do today, but as an added bonus, we're gonna cut those calories as much as possible and try to keep that carbohydrate count low. So you ready? Let's get into this. For our pasta, we're using Barilla Protein Plus pasta. This is really high in protein, yet really low in carbohydrate. You can see it's only 28 grams of carbohydrates per serving and 10 grams of protein right there. In addition to that, for the pasta, we're using a little bit of salt, a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese, and a little virgin olive oil. For our meatballs, we have our 90% lean ground turkey, a couple of large eggs, and our herb combination. In here, we got a little bit of Parmesan cheese, breadcrumbs, granulated garlic, dried onions, pepper, salt, parsley, basil, and oregano. For our sauce, we have diced tomatoes, a little more olive oil, some minced shallot and garlic, and our dry herb combination. This is pepper, oregano, salt, and a pinch of red pepper. Remember, if you want to try out this recipe, all the ingredients and measurements are down in the description of the video, along with the calories, the fat, the carbohydrates, and the protein. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and preheat your oven here for 400 degrees. Also be sure to get your water for your pasta heating up. And while that's warming up, we can go ahead and prep our meatballs. So we got our turkey, our eggs. We'll go ahead and mix these up a little bit. And we'll go ahead and add in our dry ingredients. Once you have your ingredients mixed up, we can go ahead and roll some meatballs. You can roll these by hand, or you can use an ice cream scoop. This will help you get the size consistent. And really, you can just scoop it like you're scooping ice cream, and then kind of firmly push it together, roll it up, and you're gonna get about the size meatball you want here. It's a nice way to cheat and make sure that you get a nice consistent size. That way all your meatballs cook at the same speed. By the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. Oh, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention is make sure that you spray this aluminum foil here with non-stick spray before you put all this stuff down on it. That way you'll be sure they don't stick. Next, we're gonna go ahead and let those meatballs sit a minute and we can start our sauce, because this is gonna take a little while to reduce. So we wanna give this as much time as possible. So go ahead and put it on medium-high heat. We're gonna throw in our oil. And as soon as you start to see ripples form in the oil, we can go ahead and add our garlic and shallots. You're gonna wanna stir this around a little bit just to soften it up a tiny bit. You don't wanna brown this or cook it up at all. You just wanna soften it just for a second here. And then we can go ahead and add in our tomatoes. Then you're gonna wanna bring this back up to high heat. And when you see the juices in the tomatoes start to boil here, then you're gonna go ahead and drop the heat down to about a medium low. And we're just gonna let this cook. Okay, once you see it bubbling like this, we'll go ahead and add in our herbs. Go ahead and mix those in. And then we'll reduce the heat on this. We'll go ahead and let this cook on low and just be sure to stir it every so often, just so nothing burns. Okay, we'll go ahead and throw the meatballs in the oven. And we'll just keep an eye on these. Make sure you have some tongs ready so you can kind of flip them over. We're probably gonna need someplace around a half hour or so in the oven total. So we have our sauce simmering, we have our meatballs in the oven, and we have our water boiling here for the pasta. So we'll go ahead and throw in a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt. Go ahead and stir that salt in a little bit. And then we can throw in our pasta. Be sure that when you put dry pasta in here right away that you start moving that around quickly, because we don't want it to stick to itself at all here. That's part of the reason we put the oil in there, because it's gonna kind of help keep the stuff from sticking together. And remember, we're gonna be taking this out of this water early. It's still gonna be cooking when it comes out, so the key is we want it to be undercooked. That way it's gonna cook up a little bit on its own and then just be perfect, because the last thing we want is soggy pasta. So we're gonna keep an eye on that, keep an eye on our sauce, be stirring that once in a while, and we're gonna be checking up on our meatballs too to make sure that they're cooking evenly, because they do need to be rotated around a little bit. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes on the meatballs, and those are looking like they're ready to be flipped. Let's go ahead and turn those over. They're a little bit flat on one side. That's okay. Don't worry too much about that. If you're using bigger meatballs, they'll kind of get that way. I wouldn't worry about it. If you've got little bits hanging off of here, that's fine because those are going to kind of cook away by themselves as well. That's just a little bit of fat and stuff hanging off the edge. And if they get a little bit too flat, you can always kind of squeeze them and reshape them a little bit too. So that's not really a big issue. You can see the sauce is getting really nice here. It's really breaking down. You can actually use the back end of your spoon and crush these tomatoes a little bit if you need to, but you really shouldn't have to. If you've got plenty of time, just reducing this down by itself and cooking is really gonna soften this up, and you're gonna get a really nice marinara sauce here. Okay, looks like our pasta is ready, so we need to get this off the heat. Go ahead and let that drain here in the colander. Now, depending on how cooked your pasta is, if your pasta is perfect right now, then you're gonna wanna cool it down with some water. If it's a little bit under and it's nice and al dente, then you can go ahead and let it sit here and cool down and it'll be fine. That's actually the preferred method. But if you let this sit and it's still hot and it's perfect, it means it's gonna be mush here pretty quick. So in that case, you would just go ahead and turn on some cold water and just go ahead and stir this around and get that back down to room temperature. Again, there's nothing wrong with doing that because if you overcook your pasta, it's gonna be gross. That'll actually keep it from sticking too. Okay, let's check on these meatballs. And that looks really good. So these are ready. Now we want to toss these in with the sauce. I'd recommend using the big pot just so you don't end up messing up all your meatballs. Otherwise they might get a little bit smushed. Okay, so we got those there, and we'll go ahead and just pour our sauce in over the top. And then you're gonna wanna very carefully just kind of mix these around here. Be careful not to bust any of your meatballs. And if one or two break, not the end of the world, then you got kind of a meaty marinara sauce going on there. Okay, now we just go ahead and mix in our pasta. Now you're probably not gonna use the entire amount of pasta here. You can, but probably a little bit too much. And you're gonna wanna try to just mix this around just a little bit, just to get everything coated. Again, just be careful not to bust all your meatballs here. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about us, you can check out a couple more videos, or you can check us out online at joesphenomenal.com. Wow, that came out really great. And the best part is that compared to other spaghetti and meatball recipes, this one's way higher in protein, way lower in calories, and way lower in carbohydrates. Definitely worth checking out. I thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your busy day to watch this video. It really means a lot to me, and hope to see you back again here really soon. So until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.